You think of it, the foundational texts of many civilizations are full of animals. The Bible, especially the Old Testament, is chock-a-block full of animals. People then had a relationship with animals. Same thing in Hinduism, full of animals, real mythological. Same thing in the Old Testament too, real and mythological animals. We somehow seem to have lost that. We've lost our relationship with animals, so we leave animals to children. And that is not only tragically, they're out of sight and out of mind for us as adults, therefore we're destroying them, but also it's an imaginative loss. Beyond the fact that animals are beautiful, a giraffe is just an amazing creature. It's also a loss to our imaginations. Animals have such a symbolic potential. And people who have pets realize that. It's absurd. People talk to their pets all the time. Well, I hate to inform you, but they don't speak English. They have no comprehension. They can read your tone slightly, but they have no comprehension of any known human language. And yet, we project onto them, we have this extraordinarily strong relationship with animals that we often don't have with humans. We are very cynical about our species, as I say in the book, and we have this love-hate relationship with ourselves. A ferry overturns in Bangladesh, killing 300 people, as we just turn the page of the newspaper. In a sense, what can we do? Maybe it was their own fault. We have a certain level of callousness for our own species. But then, read about cruelty to the animals, and, half of England rebels. So that's useful for me as a storyteller. And I think I'm sort of exploring a part of our lives that we've sort of, through technology, through modernity, through excessive urbanization, that we've lost. So there's a sort of a poignancy to animals that I just find very fertile terrain for my stories. And seemingly, there's a writer, Sarah Gruen, Water for Elephants. She uses elephants, and her next one is called The Ape House, and it features bonobo apes. So she's one of the few who is actively using animals. And there's such a potential. For example, Life of Pi. The tiger could be just that. It could be just a tiger. It's just the story of a boy in a lifeboat. That's it. Nothing else to it. But it could be something else, of course. There's a huge symbolic potential, one that I discovered myself. People were asking me questions about Richard Parker. I had no idea. And then clever answers I would repeat to others as if it was I'd thought of it. So there's an incredibly wide range of what an animal might mean. And it's not exploited. So I have this nice feeling of being sort of kind of on my own doing that.
If you're formulating some questions in your heads, we can go to the microphone. I'm just going to, while you're doing that, I'm going to ask just one last question about Stephen Harper. Has he, what's he said? Has he read anything? Has he found stillness, do you think?
Well, I wouldn't know. He's never written to me. The campaign continues, my little guerrilla literary campaign, my guerrilla book club. While I'm touring, I have other Canadian writers sending in books. We're at book number 80. 81 is on its way.
What's 81? What book?
Well, I shouldn't tell you, but I will. Why not? It's a Chinese novel. Xu Lun, or Lung Xu. I never forget which is the first name, which is the last name. Xu Lun. Diary of a Madman. China is unknown to us. There's a poll conducted by the Chinese for themselves saying, which are the top 10 people of China that you consider? Canada, we did that, and Tommy Douglas was #1. They did the same thing in China, top 10. And to 99.999% of Westerners, we'd heard of none of them. None of them. Some were singers, some were, 5 were actors, I think. 5 were writers, or 4 were writers. But it would be like someone in the West having never heard of the Beatles, never heard of Shakespeare. How can you know the West if you don't know everything from pop culture to high art? Well, these 10 were all unknowns, and this is one of these 10 great unknowns of China. It's a novel. It's a series of short stories called Diary of a Madman. Here I'm spotting, I know nothing about it. It's Charlie Foran, the writer, who's sending that to Stephen Harper. I haven't heard anything from Stephen Harper. 5 letters from his office, 1 for the first book, 1 for books 50 to 54, inexplicably. I don't know why I got suddenly 4 short replies from his office. Nothing from the man himself. And just to contrast this, by the way, about 2 months ago, I got a letter out of the blue from Barack Obama. In my letterbox in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, I must be the first resident of Saskatchewan to receive a letter from the President of the United States. A handwritten note from Barack Obama. He and his daughter had read Life of Pi and loved it.
Oh my gosh.
And I've memorized. Let me read you that letter. I've memorized it. So it's Mr. Martel. My daughter and I have just finished reading My Life of Pi. We prefer the story with animals. A lovely story, an elegant proof of God and the power of storytelling. Thank you, Barack Obama. White House letterhead. I mean, I was kissing that thing. I was holding it. In my letter to Harper, I said I'd have it tattooed on my chest. And a Montreal tattoo parlor wrote to me saying, we'll do it for free if you want. So, I mean, what a stark contrast between Barack Obama, who reads. One of the books I sent Harper was Gilead by Marilyn Robinson, one of his favorite books. And I sent it to Harper saying, you know, you're about to meet the President of the United States. Why don't you read Gilead? And then instead of talking about the weather or some small talk about hockey or whatever, you can maybe talk about Gilead. And that's a very meaty, intimate way to meet someone, to talk about a book that you've both read and loved. You know, and look at the vision and the oratory and where Obama wants to lead his country. Whether you like it or not, by the way, this is not a question of vision, not necessarily of what kind of vision. And, you know, Harper's benighted vision for our country. Anyway, that's what I feel. Anyway, nothing from Stephen Harper. The campaign continues. I'll get back in the saddle when I get back to Saskatoon at the end of June.
I'm in despair.